Somalia, a country scarred by more than 20 years of conflict. An Islamist militant group, Al-Shabaab, continues to stage attacks. But after decades of civil war, security is improving, and some are looking to make risky but potentially lucrative investments. This is the story of how one British company was looking to do just that and is now being investigated over allegations of corruption. May 2013. Hosting a big international conference in London, David Cameron pledges to make Somalia a foreign policy priority.
This is not just vital for Somalia, it is vital for Britain, for our national security, and for the security of our allies all around the world.
Britain becomes the first Western country to reopen its embassy in Mogadishu as a new internationally recognised Somali government announces the country is open for business. 3 months later, in August 2013, the Somali government signs a surprise agreement with a British company to explore for oil in the waters off its coast. It's the first and only such deal since Somalia descended into civil war in the early 1990s. No one knows the exact extent of Somalia's oil reserves, but some estimates put it at over 100 billion barrels, nearly half that of Saudi Arabia. But there's a problem. The United Nations and others have warned that given the continued instability and the lack of a legal framework to manage energy revenues, such deals could trigger renewed violence.
We felt that the risk was too high for the country to embark on a process of signing oil deals which could inflame political and clan tensions.
The company that secured the deal was a complete unknown. SomaOil and Gas had no track record. At this point, the company is only 3 months old. But people have heard of Soma's chairman, Michael, now Lord Howard, former leader of the Conservative Party. Other senior figures in the company have Conservative Party connections, including Soma's founder, an investor by the name of Basil Shiblak, seated here on the right, who has given money to the Conservative Party. The announcement sent ripples through the diplomatic community in East Africa. There was a feeling that the Foreign Office had helped promote a British company to secure this deal against the advice of the United Nations, indeed against the advice of other UK government departments. A memo from the Department for International Development, dated May 2013, said that such an oil deal could, quote, lead to all sorts of irregularities that are very hard to resolve later. Getting it wrong, the memo warned, could fuel corruption or even conflict. And now, in a confidential report to the United Nations Security Council, corruption is exactly what a group of UN investigators are saying they believe occurred. We've seen a copy of the report. It says that since the middle of last year, SomaOil and Gas has been making regular payments to the Somali Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources. Some of those payments have been dispersed to senior civil servants. The company, which is headquartered in central London, acknowledges making payments totaling nearly $500,000 to the ministry between June of last year and May of this, as part of a capacity building programme intended to cover the salaries of a small number of experts, including geologists and geoscientists. But the investigators say that of the 14 people who received payments, only 3 hold advanced degrees in the fields of geology or geoscience. The capacity building programme, they say, appears to have been used to fund systematic payoffs to senior officials, some of whom were instrumental either in securing the initial contract with Soma or in negotiating subsequent agreements. They include the Director General of the Ministry, Farah Abdi Hassan, seen here at a meeting with Soma in Nairobi in 2014. According to the report, he received $36,000 through the capacity building programme over a period of 12 months, around 3 times his Somali government salary, which the investigators say he continued to draw. It's not unusual for oil companies working in developing countries to run so-called capacity-building programs, including offering training and scholarships for local people working in the industry. What is unusual is for senior government officials responsible for managing deals with an oil company itself to be paid salaries under such a scheme. The investigators say that in this case, the capacity building agreement was likely part of a quid pro quo arrangement, i.e. Soma, the British company, expected something in return. The report claims that Mr. Hassan, the Director General of the Ministry, suggested that Soma's contractual agreements with the government, both past and prospective, could be subject to review if financial assistance was not forthcoming. Newsnight has seen email correspondence to a lawyer working on the deal from Mr. Hassan, in which he writes,
"If Soma questions the assistance to the ministry, then so many things go to review, while Parliament is asking to ratify the SOA agreement."
SOA refers to the Seismic Option Agreement, which is the original deal. Another email, written to two of Soma's directors, appears to suggest that signing off on the capacity building programme, referred to as an amendment, could protect the Soma deal from official review.
Why don't you sign the amendment and return? Because I'm sure it will protect the agreement.
Newsnight understands that the investigation by the Serious Fraud Office is based on the material in the UN report. At issue is whether any offence might have been committed under the Bribery Act.
If you have circumstances where there appears to be payments going directly or indirectly to foreign public officials, and those officials have played a role in the obtaining or retaining of business or giving some commercial advantage to a particular company, that does raise a strong possibility that there may be liability.
SomaOil and Gas says any allegations of corruption are groundless and that the company is cooperating fully with the Serious Fraud Office. They told us that the UN investigators had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of the payments. In a statement they said, "No person involved in the capacity building agreement programme was or is in a position to influence the decision to grant any commercial agreements for the benefits of Soma." They added, "Soma has always conducted its business in a completely lawful and ethical manner." During 2013, the year the deal was signed, the Foreign Office met with representatives of SomaOil and Gas, including in some cases Michael Howard, on at least 11 occasions. Now, the FCO has previously said it gave the company no special treatment, nor did it help to negotiate the deal. But a letter from Michael Howard to Michael Fallon, then Minister for Business and Energy, dated May 2014, suggests otherwise.
"Dear Michael,"
Lord Howard wrote on Soma-headed paper,
"I'm afraid this is yet another request for a favour. I am chairman of Soma Oil and Gas Limited, an appointment I accepted with the encouragement of the FCO."
Lord Howard, who's also a shareholder in SomaOil and Gas, wanted Michael Fallon, a senior government minister, to meet the newly appointed Somali oil minister on a visit to London. Such a meeting would, the letter continued,
"make a really important contribution to relations between the UK and Somalia."
The meeting with the Somali minister never happened, and the FCO has said it didn't encourage Michael Howard to join the board of Soma. But the company told Newsnight that Lord Howard sought assurances from the Foreign Office that the company's activities were consistent with UK government policy.
The fact that he was told that Soma's proposed activities were entirely consistent with UK policy, he regarded as encouragement.
Earlier this year, a senior British source told me that there were grave concerns specifically around the role of Michael Howard and suggestions that his political influence could have helped secure backing for the Soma deal from the British government. Now, the accusations in this UN report will make uncomfortable reading for David Cameron, who staked political capital on pledging to help Somalia turn its back on violence and corruption.
If the allegations are borne out to be true, what that would shows that perhaps the international community has failed to bring about real change in Somalia, where the assets of the Somali state are being used transparently for the Somali people, and instead has led to a situation where a network of individuals purporting to act as agents of the Somali state have instead privatized control over those assets, and therefore contributing directly once again to clan and political tensions.
The money involved in these allegations, $500,000, is relatively small, just a fraction of the $40 million that SomaOil and Gas has to date spent on its exploration program. It'll be years before they even know whether oil can be extracted. As a business opportunity, Somalia is fraught with risks and uncertainties, but the potential rewards are huge.